From glorious triumphs inside the ring to heartbreaking turn of events, it can be said that 2021 is one for the books, with the Philippines once again shining in the world of boxing. Tonight on Round by Round, we go through a list that made 2021 an eventful year for Philippine boxing. First on our list, Bill, boxing events in the country this year were in full swing despite the pandemic. More than 20 boxing cards were held outside the NCR, and not a single event registered a COVID-19 infection, which was really remarkable. Most recently, the IATF allowed promoters to hold events now in the NCR again. Bill, it's one of the few bright spots in Philippine boxing this year, right?
Yes, absolutely. I think the fact that boxing more or less continued outside the NCR is a very healthy sign, because these boxers need to make a living, promoters need to make a living, and they took all the necessary precautions. They talked to their IATFs, and you have to bear in mind, some of these regional local governments are even stricter than the NCR, and yet they were able to have boxing events. So for me, that's a major consideration, and I don't see that slowing down anytime soon.
Next on our list, it's hands down the best knockout victory in Philippine boxing this year. Of course, I'm talking about Mark Magsayo's comeback win over Julio Ceja. Bill, can you talk about more of that emphatic come-from-behind win by Magsayo and why it deserves to be on this list?
Well, when you look at it, Mark has made a lot of adjustments when he first left for America. Prior to this, he already had an excellent, unblemished record. But, one of our discussions along the way was he had never been really tested by an elite, legitimate featherweight. He'd fought a couple of world champions who had moved up in weight and so on and so forth. And in this fight, he got knocked down and, looked kind of stunned momentarily, but he came back strong. And this is something that, that he's really been dying for. As recently as 2 years ago, his father was in the hospital. He almost gave up boxing. He had no promoter, and now he's with MP Promotions. They're taking very good care of him. He's gotten a lot of great opportunities. He's being trained by the best in the business in Freddie Roach. So things are really turning up roses for Mark Magsayo. All we're waiting for really is where the fight is going to be held on January 22. And if Mark, for example, does not win this fight, I'm sure there will be a rematch. I would be more worried about the rematch because we don't know where that will be held. So we also what almost happened to Jonas Sultan. But in this case, I think Mark has learned to be patient, not to rely too much on his power, wait for the opportunities to come to him, and that is what has borne all these great fruits.
I think the next one would go down as one of the missed opportunities of 2021. Of course, I'm talking about the canceled Nito Donaire versus John Ryan Casimero, because these two men were supposed to face each other last August. However, random testing and personal issues got in the way, forcing the Donaire camp to pull the plug. Casimero is fighting Paul Butler on December 11 in Dubai. And meanwhile, Donaire is facing Raymart Gaballo on December 12, Philippine time in the States. Is it necessary for both men to win their respective fights this weekend in order for their grudge match to happen in 2022?
I think that's one main consideration, because if you're Nonito Donaire at 39 years old, you're a champion. Why would you fight Casimero if there was no belt at stake?
Yeah.
So I think it's more important for Casimero to win than for Donaire to win, and put an end to all of this back and forth, this testosterone telenovela that was going on between the two of them. It's important for them to win, and for them to win well, so that there's no more accusations that one is not as good as the other. And that's going to be a very, very interesting fight. I think they still respect each other, but what is important there is, that they win this next assignment, don't look past it at each other, and then set up the real fight that everybody wants to see.
Next on our list, 2021 will be remembered as the year that the legendary Manny Pacquiao called it a career. But a lot of fans and experts are still split when it comes to the aspect of retirement bill. But how about you? Do you think we will see, do you see Manny Pacquiao going back into the ring next year after the elections?
Honestly, given the financial strain of running for president, to run for president in the Philippines, 10 billion pesos is the bare minimum that you'll probably need to have a nationwide campaign. And the missed opportunities of Conor McGregor, Ryan Garcia, and even the Errol Spence fight cost Manny over 1 billion pesos. So there is a possibility. I think he will come. Besides, who does not want to one, fight on his home soil, and
another big payday
with a bang? For all you know, he could talk to Floyd Mayweather, and then at least let's have a fight, make it look good, even if it ends in a draw. Mayweather doesn't lose anything on his record, and Manny Pacquiao doesn't lose anything further on his reputation. But I have it from a reliable source that there's a lot of belief that Errol Spence did not really injure his eye, and that they really wanted to set up Manny Pacquiao to catapult your Dennis Ugas to a higher level of fame. So things seem to have conspired. Of course, it caused some fallout in the training camp of Manny Pacquiao. It was not the ending that we wanted. Let's put it plainly. But we discussed this before. We wanted to have the Cinderella finish, Philippine Arena, a Mayweather or a Marquez, one for the books, and then that's it. Call it a day.
Let him.
But sadly, he may need money if he does not win as president of the Philippines. That is the main consideration now, because as it is, he's probably using his own personal funds for his campaign, and he's up against a tall order. There are some very strong presidential candidates as well, and you have to remember, a lot of those people who helped him, there are at least 6 people who were very close to him who are no longer there for personal reasons and other things, listening to the wrong people and all of that. So he's with a different group of people, and I don't know if they really know what they're doing.
This deserves to be on the top spot. The best finish of the Philippines in Olympic boxing history. Both Nesty Potesio and Carlo Paalam brought home silver medals, while Yumir Marshall captured bronze. Bill, do you believe in your heart that this accomplishment in Tokyo is just the beginning of greater things to come?
Well, yes and no, because the Olympics are so far apart that you can't really ascribe any continuity unless you're so dominant in your sport, like Al Orter was, like Michael Phelps was, and like the US was in basketball. But in boxing, we got lucky. Okay, let me repeat that. Some people don't want to hear it, but we got lucky both in weightlifting and in boxing. In weightlifting, they cut out a lot of the participants, consolidated the weight division. It was easier for Heidelin to make the weight, and at the same time, they limited the number of participants from the country suspected of using steroids, and that helped. In boxing, it helped that the IOC 2 years prior took out AIBA from the equation and had a gymnastics official run the boxing tournament, and that resulted in more fair decisions. If this had been done earlier, Onyok Velasco would have been an Olympic gold medalist 25 years ago. But if that situation persists, we'll probably win even more medals in boxing in the next Olympics, which is only a couple of years away. Now the question is, will AIBA clean up its act, or will the IOC again be forced to put together a ragtag group of more honest officials and run the boxing tournament themselves? Now either way, AIBA will be under a lot of scrutiny. If AIBA cleans up its act, good, I won't be worried. If the IOC takes charge, then even better for us. We have a lot of potent boxers who are coming up, and I think we will win even more medals.